shift the way you lead, the way you live. Clarity, courage, change. Because your next level won't wait. This is Monday Mindshift, the clarity you've been craving, the shift you didn't know you needed. Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. Excited to be with you here today. Whether you're watching live or on replay, go ahead and put in the comments. That's how I know who's here. Otherwise, I don't necessarily know who's here. And I like knowing who's here. So feel free to share. Let me know whether you're on Team Live, Team Replay, where you're joining from. If you're a first timer here or if you're an OG, you can put hashtag 1 for first timer, or you can put hashtag OG if you're an OG here. But I appreciate you, each and every one who comes on Monday, whether you're first time or you've been coming for a while. Thank you for your support. And I am hoping to have a co-host soon. I actually had a call with Sharon Rose Winfield, and we've just got to work out all the details and make sure I send things to her in a timely manner so she has time to prepare. And she had actually tried to join the stage other times. And Jackie, welcome. And her phone or like something wasn't working for her, she said. So hopefully she's able to get that all worked out and she can join in the conversation. But we had a very nice chat. All right, so today's topic. There's Miss Sharon. Hello, Miss Sharon. Hello, Jackie. Anybody else who's watching? I know there's a bit of a lag from LinkedIn. It's also streaming to YouTube. So if you ever want to go over to YouTube to get around the lag, that's one way. I know I do that with like Leslie's shows and other shows because it tends to be more on pace with timing. But LinkedIn lag can get pretty intense sometimes. All right. So today's topic was leadership, right? It's not a look. And then the question was, is your image still in the way? So what do I mean? Why would I say that? Here's what I've seen, what I've noticed. Most leaders aren't leading, and they often don't even realize it. They're managing an image of leadership. The problem isn't that the image is wrong. The problem is that trying to maintain that image, it's exhausting, right? If you've ever tried to maintain an image, whether in leadership or in other aspects of your life, say amen in the chat if you can relate to how exhausting it is trying to keep an image of what you think people want to see. And this leadership image eventually blocks real authority. So what do I mean? image. How does it look? What do people see from the outside about your leadership? Are you presenting this, oh, I'm cool, calm, collected, and confident, versus your leadership identity, how that leadership actually lands? And good morning to you. Actually, good afternoon to you, Meryl, because you're over there in Eastern. So you're already in the afternoon. You're from the future. Glad to see you here. I'm sending warm vibes, Meryl, because it's beautiful here. It's cooler than usual, but it's beautiful here. I won't tell you what I'm wearing, but so, right? Image. What does it look like? What does your leadership, what does your persona look like, and your identity? How does it actually materialize? How do you actually embody it? Performance, especially in leadership, it takes a lot of effort to keep the performance up, to keep your stories straight. But embodiment, it's felt immediately. Perhaps you've been in this position or you've worked for somebody who demonstrated that embodied leadership. Two questions to make this distinction. Performance asks, how am I coming across? Right? How do I appear? What do people think of my version of leadership or what I'm demonstrating? Embodiment says, am I congruent? Am I showing true leadership from, and I talked about this on a podcast recently. You might have your workplace leadership. Does it match? Is it congruent with your home leadership? If not, that's the place to start looking. Because when you're in leadership embodiment, or when you're embodying your true identity, you will appear the same. You will be the same in every area you appear. As Rumi said, oh, wait, no. So before I get to Rumi, quick questions. How many of you learned that leadership was confidence, polish, and presence? And the other question is, how many of you might feel tired trying to maintain image? So Rumi said it beautifully. Appear as you are, be as you appear. So moving on, the diagnostic, right? How do we see when we're performing, especially as leaders? I'm not looking to call anybody out. This is about noticing where something worked in the past and realizing what it's costing now. So I'm going to share 5 masks that leaders, and as I always say, all of us are leaders in some way. We just might not call it leadership yet. So the first mask is the confident mask, right? That I can't show doubt because I'll lose authority. Then you have the stoic mask. If I feel too much, if I demonstrate my feelings too much, I won't be respected. Right? How many of us have seen the leader who shows no emotion, total stoic? Number 3, the busy mask. if I slow down, I'll be exposed. Mask number 4, the expert mask. I heard this today on Leslie's show. The expert mask. I must always know. Guilty. I've worn that mask in the past. Having my son and raising him has really taught me, on top of other things I've learned in life, childlike curiosity. I don't have to know everything. And actually, a long time ago, when I was in the Navy, I learned this, but I didn't apply it as well as I could have. Today, I use it more commonly. And good morning, Tracy and Lisa. Welcome, or good evening, or good afternoon. I think it's all morning for everybody. Morning, afternoon, somewhere in there. Anyway, what I learned in the military was it's not what you know, it's what you know how to find. Right? You don't have to know everything. But if you know how to find things, to find the answers when you don't know them, that's powerful. Number 5, mask. This is the one I really had to work to take off. The nice mask. If I disappoint people, am I leading? So my question, did you recognize any of these immediately in yourself or in the leaders in your life? Second question, which one feels heaviest? And my next question, which one did you need earlier in life? Burnout doesn't come from leadership or working too much alone. It comes from wearing the wrong mask for too long. I'm going to use a quote from Brene Brown here, who I also love, besides Rumi and Jung and a lot of the others. Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we think we're supposed to be. Let me repeat that. Authenticity is the daily practice of letting go who we think we're supposed to be. So where did this image, where was it created? Where was it formed? Where did this start? If we're talking leadership, those masks weren't built in the boardroom. They weren't born in the workplace. They were built in our childhood. Right? Ask yourself these questions. Who did you need to be to stay safe? Or even more, this is important to me because I'm part of a challenge called Rise Alliance. We're raising money for Rise Alliance, where they're actually giving children the safe spaces that they need to learn and grow. And so my dare was to share why I think it's important that children have a safe space to learn and grow. And of course, we can say to be safe, right? We want them to be safe in their environment. But even more importantly, and I mentioned this in my dare, they need to feel safe. So, who did you need to be to feel safe? What is the version of you that got approval? Exactly, Sharon. A true leader doesn't feel like they have to have all the answers. They're willing to go to somebody else to get the answers or direct you to that person. Like, hey, I don't know the answer. Go talk to somebody else, this person. They know, or maybe they don't. Or let's put our heads together and find the answer. Imagine that. Anyway, my third question: when did visibility begin to feel risky? We're not looking to blame the past. The past is the past. It's done. We can't change it. I want you to honor how intelligent your adaptation was. William, welcome. Good evening to you, because I know he's East too. You see, the masks at the time, or until now, they were a solution to protect ourselves. The issue is it doesn't fit anymore, or we don't need it anymore. I think I've shared this quote before. Carl Jung says, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." John, welcome. Happy Monday to you. Thank you, Meryl, for inviting him. Glad to have you in Chicago, which I think Chicago is also pretty chilly these days, right? Not everybody's lucky like Sharon and William being down in the southern parts where it's still a little warm. And I'm way south. Science minute, science time. Why does our image fail under pressure? Because that's the reality. Image will crumble under pressure. And the reality is, people don't follow confidence long term, they follow coherence. Right? I've talked about this several times that if you're in leadership, whether it's at the workplace, your own business, or in your family, the people you lead, the people who are following you, they're your mirrors. So if they're hiding emotion, overworking, not taking time to pause and rest, it might be that's a checkpoint to say, okay, am I demonstrating balance of, sure, a sprint away, but also take time and share the pause, share the rest, right? If you're teaching or you're telling, like, hey, there's no need to work yourself to death, but you're answering emails at midnight, yeah, there's a problem. So they're just a mirror. So do what you say and say what you do. Make a match. That's what we're going for, right? Alignment, coherence. Shane, give me 1 minute and I will go ahead and post that. And let me say welcome, Shane, wherever you're joining us from. Excited to have you here. Thank you for coming. However you got here, if it was Meryl or Kenny or anybody else, Bill. And thank you to anybody who invited others. All right. See if this is going to work. Yay, it worked. Because, Sharon, yes, you asked last week, my computer was finally liberated from customs. But there's a story along with that perhaps I'll tell later. So I was saying, people don't follow confidence, they follow coherence for the long term. Short term, they might follow confidence, but that image of confidence will crumble and they will not be as inclined to follow. And the reality is in the workplace, over 70% of people who quit are leaving because of their boss, not because of the job, not because of the company necessarily. Over 70% leave because of their boss. And 80+% of management hires are bad hires. And nobody wants to be in management because management equals burnout, because there's a lot of pressure from above to meet KPIs, quotas, etc., with limited support. Absolutely, John. Wow, Northern Alberta. I imagine it's pretty chilly up there. And hello, Leslie. Good morning. So, why do people not follow this confidence? Because our nervous system reads safety before any words are spoken. We may not always sense it, but our body is telling us instantly, like, this is a safe space, or maybe not. Happy Monday, Mary Kay. Glad to see you here this week. Been missing you. I noticed you haven't been able to join us lately. The other thing is mirror neurons. If you've not heard of those are a part in our brain that will automatically mirror the people we interact with. And those are tracking congruence. So if someone is saying one thing but acting differently, that's being sensed. Additionally, the team will feel, they will be able to feel, they may not be able to name it, they may not know why, but they will feel a bracing leader versus a grounded leader. Absolutely, John. And sadly, a lot of the management hires are right, the top performer in that department. Like, hey, you're the top performer, manager left, we're promoting you. Good luck. Think of a leader that you trust, some leader you've known in your lifetime. You trust them. You can feel it, that deep, deep trust. And let me ask, was it their polish or their steadiness? Their image or their identity? Because the fact is, if you're trying to impress, you'll never regulate the room. Parker Palmer sums this up beautifully. We teach who we are. Right? So if you're nervous and ungrounded and putting on a mask, that's exactly what anybody who's following us will do. All right. I want to take this time for live reflection. And by the way, there's no two chair. Perhaps I can bring it back because, as I said, I was preparing for not being here alone. So I didn't prepare my normal teaching flow. I prepared talking points to have a discussion that will work out. So a little bit of reflection. 3 questions, and then I will give you time to think about it. Toronto, yeah, you northerners, quite chilly. For me, I'm feeling cold at like 60 degrees because that's a cold day for us. Or maybe 50 something. I don't know what my weather is today. Let's see. Fahrenheit. Yeah, our low temperature in the morning was 61. Any colder than that, I'm putting pants or a jacket on. But other than that, yeah, steady and who'd listen. Let's see what Sharon says. Mirrors, team observing behaviors. But if we're night owls, Sharon, then we should expect others on the team would be night owls and doing the same thing. But I think the key thing is boundaries, right? Wow, new camera is kind of weirding me out. Because if our workday is 9 to 5, unless it's well, I will say when I was the facility manager at a telecom company, when the operations manager was on vacation, I was on call. Because it's telecom and data centers, things can go wrong in the middle of the night. And we've evidenced this, right? When Amazon or CloudFront had outages in all the systems, and it's even more important today. But even back 20 years ago, these data centers were critical. If a data trunk went down, people were losing, businesses were losing money. So my tech would get called and sent to a job site, a customer site, perhaps, or a large data center, whatever it was, going into our office, our data center. If for some reason he could not enter the building because security was, the building was closed for the night, they had to call me at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning so that I could say, do you give permission to postpone this ticket till normal business hours? So I'd get woken up at 3 a.m., hear the story, and say, yes, I give permission to postpone the ticket until business hours, till the building is open again. I always found it kind of strange, right? He can't get in the building. He can't fix anything. He can't troubleshoot anything. He can't even access the equipment. That was the policy and procedure. So yes, that job, or if you're on an evening or night shift, of course, you're going to be working at night. It's about boundaries and clarity, I believe. But we can't expect, as a leader, we need to demonstrate, right? As John Maxwell says, the leader knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way. That's what a leader is. All right, so 3 reflection prompts. Where are you still trying to look like a leader? Where do you tighten up? What are you afraid would happen if you stopped performing? Where are you still trying to look like a leader? Where do you tighten up? What are you afraid would happen if you stopped performing? And I want you to consider this, even if you're not technically in a leadership role, because we are all leading ourselves and our families in some way. We're leaders. Or I don't believe you'd be here on LinkedIn watching lives. Fair enough, Sharon. But that's what I'm saying, though, Sharon, is I'm not necessarily disagreeing. I'm saying it's situational, right? If your circadian rhythm, caveat though, oftentimes our circadian rhythms are broken because of old protective measures. But as a leader, if you are in leadership, expect they are going to copy your behavior. So if you're saying, chill out on the work, don't be a workaholic, then you need to demonstrate not being a workaholic. All right. So here's the shift from performative leadership to embodied leadership, right? As we said, it's not about demonstrated confidence, although good leaders are confident, but they're not confident for the sake of appearing confident. They're embodied confidence. It's not charisma, although embodied leaders have charisma. They just don't have to work at it. It's coherence, as we were just talking about. If you're working late at night during family time, you can explain it. Be coherent. Like, hey, if your rhythm is you're a night owl and you do your better work at night, go for it. Because I do the same. I don't. I'm a morning person, 100%. Always have been. So what does this embodiment look like? The embodied leader is calm without detaching. They can practice clarity with no aggression. They establish boundaries with no apology. And they've learned to be present, or they're able to be present, to embody that presence over performance. So what changes in leadership when we stop proving? What becomes possible for those you lead? presence teaches much more than posture. All right. So a couple closing questions here. Which mask are you ready to retire? What would it feel like to lead and live without auditioning? Here's a statement. You can tune this for your own style. Let me just check that before I share that. Let's see. Oh, no. I've got all the comments. Okay. Because it was quiet, so I thought maybe I was losing not seeing all the comments. Because sometimes when I'm watching it on my phone, LinkedIn freezes, it disconnects, the comments aren't loading. Whether I'm broadcasting or I'm attending, I've seen it happen. So the identity statement example that I want to give you, the template, that's a valuable context, Sharon, as tech product manager and software collaboration. Yeah, that's morning people. No, that wasn't what I meant, Sharon. I wasn't trying to ding you or my wife's a total night owl. I'm just saying, if you're demanding behavior or actions, don't expect different from what you're demonstrating. How's that sound? It's not about night owls, morning people. All right. So the identity statement example, I lead from who I am. It is not a performance. All right. So that wraps up what I wanted to cover today. Except let me have one last quote here from Audre Lorde. When I dare to be powerful, I use my strength in the service of my vision. And I love that, Mary Kay. Busy reflecting. Reflect away. No apologies necessary. So I have a special offer for the end of the year. I'm doing a 30-day real mastery, which real is an acronym. R for reframe identity. A, align with your strengths. Or align with your, RE, embody your strengths. Can't spell real today. A, align with your purpose and values. And L, leverage community and support. So I'm running a program starting January 5th. It's the Real Mastery 30-day identity reset intensive. I've already got all but 3 spots filled. So I have 3 spots. If you're interested, feel free to reach out. Joshua, welcome. And let's see. Yeah, that's important, Sharon. So Real Mastery 30-day identity reset intensive. Starting January 5th, 4 weeks of connection, no homework. There's actions, but there's not homework like in school. I have 3 spots available. If you're interested, if you want to know more information, feel free to DM me, comment, and I'm happy to have a quick conversation with you, tell you more about it, see if you're a good fit. But I do have 3 spaces available. It's a special price for the end of the year, special option. So let me know. Other than that, let's see, where do we got? All right, let me share the link. Yeah, see? Timed out, just as I said. Never know when it's going to do it. All right, so that should give anybody who is open. Let's see. Sharon says, not me. It is. It is a thing. And just like introvert and extrovert, there's this tension between the two. I mean, somebody wrote a book like the 5 a.m. rule or something like that. That doesn't work for everybody. All that does is make grumpy, tired people. It is about rhythms, knowing what works for you. If that's prayer, meditation, reading scriptures, reading the Tao Te Ching at 5 a.m. or at midnight, it's about, I would say, the core, the key is awareness, right? It's knowing you. Where do you operate your best? Whether as a person or as a leadership. By the way, Mary Kay, I love the new post. I was switching or relogging into LinkedIn in the event, and I saw Mary Kay's post. Check it out if you're not following Mary Kay. If you ever considered writing your story for others to read, your leadership, your experience, check her out. All right. Am I up here alone? And he's not here to back me up. He's usually there to jump in. Questions, comments, what resonated, what kind of surprised you? Maybe you heard it a different way when I shared it than you've heard it before. Love to hear from you. Exactly, Sharon. And I went from Northern California, where we have long days in the summertime. In fact, I remember as a kid, we had a bedtime in the summer that was before sunset. And mom would say, okay, everybody get ready for bed. And we're looking outside and we're like, what? It's still sunny outside. Like, what do you mean bed? Then I moved to New Mexico in the high desert. Some more of what Sharon's talking about down there in Arizona. Early sunrise, And what did I miss from Mary Kay? Ego is a lot of what? Ego, but often that ego, it's because of learned protective behaviors. So are we ready to shift? But so New Mexico, a lot like Arizona, lots of flat open desert, predictable sunrise, bright sunlight. First time I came down to Central America, we'd been traveling most of the day. We got to our destination. We're sitting down in the restaurant and it's getting dark. Like it's dark outside. And my wife says, "What is it, like 9 o'clock?" So she asks the server, like, "What time is it?" The server says, "It's 6:30." She's like, "Wait a minute, it's 6:30? Like, are you sure?" So we learned down here, closer to the equator, the days. Yeah, exactly, Shane. Good question, John. I believe it is possible to adjust your leadership approach for a specific situation while still maintaining core leadership values, your personal values, whether they're leadership related or general. Oh, you know why I didn't do that? I'll tell you why, Cher. Um, which link did you try, Sharon? Did you try the one I sent in the message or the one I just posted on the event? But Friday, when I was supposed to schedule that tech test, I got a message that my computer was liberated from customs, and I was like, okay, I'm going. As soon as I finish doing what I'm doing, I'm going. So I drove. They said it's at this office. So I looked up where that office is and drove an hour to this location, get there, and she says, "Your package isn't here. It was sent to the office you normally get it at, which is 30 minutes from my house." So I have to get turned around so I can head back home. And she tells me, "Don't forget that office closes at 7." What she was warning me is like, you might not make it because of the traffic. She was right. It took 45 minutes just to get turned around, drive all the way back over to the other office. Initially, she says, "Well, if you pay by that link, it will take 4 hours for us to be able to see it. So you'll have to come back tomorrow to pick it up." I said, "Oh, no, no, no." I talked to the lady at the office and she said I could pay with you for the fees. Yeah, it must be something on your device, Sharon, if it's not working. Because I just tested on my phone and it worked. I think I didn't complete the process. The one thing is, you do have to make sure, because if you open it in LinkedIn, it'll glitch. You really have to go open a new browser window or copy it and paste it in your browser, your Safari, your Chrome. Yeah, that's exactly how it should be, Shane, is adaptable leadership, because situations change, the environment changes on the fly. the why and your boundaries, right? Your lines. I will, no matter what. I might adapt, but these are the lines I will not cross to change my leadership. 100%. It's all about adaptability. Yes, big yay. But I almost didn't get it Friday. I did get it. And I love the new machine because I got this cool new thing where the camera follows me. But yeah, Shane, that the why doesn't change, the boundary lines don't change. Yeah. When I lived in Northern California, Shane, winter was terrible because you get up and go to work before the sunrise, and by the time you get home, it's dark. I always loved the summer. I just mean it worked. I got it to work. I don't know why it's not working for you. And without being able to see it, it's hard to say. And actually, when I was in Belize, my whole circadian rhythm changed because it's hot and humid. So the routine in Belize was up at the sun, up at sunrise, do your work, especially if it was outdoors, cut the grass, plant the garden, whatever you're doing. 10:30, 11 o'clock. By 11 o'clock, you're off. It's siesta time. Go under the thatch roof cover and take a nap. Get in a hammock, relax, just chill until like 3 o'clock. Then it was back to work till sunset. We were usually asleep by 8 o'clock. So yes, in different locations, my circadian rhythm has shifted. Different stages of my life, it's shifted. Love that, Mary Kay. Embrace that knowing your boundaries and living from them means that you'll forgo, sacrifice other options. That's okay. Absolutely. Right? Our no's are just as important, or if not more important, than our yes. No, this is a great opportunity, but not for me. I've read and seen people who turn down jobs that other people would have been dying for because it didn't align with their values, their mission, great salaries, etc. And they said, no, not for me. Could have been timing wasn't right, or it just wasn't altogether right at all. Love the comments, love the questions. I love the way you put that, Sharon. A little flower. I always used to say I'm solar powered. So living in San Francisco Bay Area and having 30 days of no blue sky and sunshine, being here in Guatemala where it's sunny every day, I do much better. I'm happier, I'm more active, all of that good stuff. So yes, it has to do with your lifestyle, your location. It's very situational, just like leadership. It should be able to bend, but you have your break points, right? I like visiting the snow. Don't want to live in it, or the cold. That's sub-zero temperature. Don't mind visiting it. I don't mind going down to the beach here in Guatemala where it's 80 plus every day. But I'm in the pool 90% of the time, or down by the beach where I get in the nice ocean breeze. It's about knowing what works for you, right? Your waking hours, sleeping hours, your temperature that you enjoy, your environment. And if it isn't working, as Dale Carnegie says, if it's working, why change it? If it's not, why not experiment? Snowflake powered. Yes, we are planning a trip to the snow. Well, maybe not, because Guatemala this year, first time ever in 11 years I've been here, they're opening, I don't remember what they call it, but basically they've taken over a warehouse and they're dropping the temperature, and it's a whole winter wonderland. Skiing, tubing, snowball fights, the whole thing. And my son is just thrilled because his heart is Guatemalan. He's Guatemalan. He knows we don't get snow in Guatemala. We're in Central America in the tropics. Snow doesn't happen, not in a traditional sense. High in the mountains, we get something that's similar, but it's not the same as that, Toronto, Alberta, Chicago, New Jersey snow. It's more like hail that stays. All right. Any last questions, comments? Thank you, everyone, for your interactions, your engagement. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here, sharing. And once again, I've got 3 open slots for the 30-day Real Mastery Intensive, Identity Reset Intensive. If you're interested, you want to know more, feel free to DM me, comment here on the post or on the event, and let me know. Otherwise, have an amazing week. Be awesome. Be you. No masks. No performances. Be you. Be congruent. Be coherent. That's what I'm aiming for. Whether you're in leadership, in a leadership role or not. Thank you all. Take care. Oh, let me do my cool little outro.
In the shadow of a mirror where the past holds tight.
Thank you for your kind words. Thank you for your comments.
Igniting the night.
Thank you for being you. Hope to see you again soon. May your week be amazing and blessed, and all your dreams come true. And have the life you want, not the one that belongs to someone else. Whether it's leadership or not, employment or entrepreneurship, doesn't matter. Live the life that you want.